Yeah, so what I'm going to do is to start where we left off in the previous session, and I'll go to the Finder and look for my oops, I'll go over here. For some reason I cannot see my hard drive, but I think if okay, it's here. Applications, MAMP, htdocs, and PHP mentorship level 2 week 2. So I want to start with a code that we wrote on Saturday, and I'll copy this, then I'll take it over to week 3 Tuesday. So I'll paste over there, and right here it is in VS Code, so I can get the browser here to just check if it's there by going to localhost 88 PHP week 3, enter. Okay, let me maximize the browser. Yeah, this is what we have. So our plan today is very simple. We want to be able to log in, and when we log in we want to access some private routes, and as well as create a new table. I think let's start by creating a table for our content. And what can I use to write out our plan? I'll use hashnode, I'll log into hashnode and start a draft, because hashnode has a I think a minimal writing interface. So I'll say write and okay, for some reason my internet seems to be a little bit slow. All right, then I just don't know why this draft is there. I'll click new draft here, and then that. So plan for private routes, content restriction and logout. So where we stopped last time, if we log in, for example, if I put here David of UG, then I put a password to log in, you can see we've logged in successfully, but we don't have anything like logout anywhere. So I can go around a login. Yeah, so here I can put something which is like echo, and I'll echo an href. I think these are too much codes to be echoed, so what I'll do, I'll cut the PHP script from here and then output these out normally as if they were just HTML, and remove the echo statements. Then when I come to the while, I'll open the PHP tag again, and yes, and then what else? So that will remain the way it is, and here up here I'll put a link href, because if you don't know how to use the anchor tag in HTML, you can read about it. Then I'll put php logout.php, so we shall create that file along the way, and I'll close it and write logout, then close the anchor tag and put I'll actually put this anch tag in a p tag. Then we can preview, we can refresh over here. I'll click continue for now, and we have the logout, but it cannot do anything right now. That's why if I click it, it shows not found. All right, that's one. So let's go back to the plan. The plan is here. So private routes. So these are, what are they? I will just do that. What they are is that these are the routes that are accessible by authorized, authenticated, and authorized users. The routes that are accessible by the public are public routes. Okay, so in PHP we just create a file and put in a session function. A session function. The session function will have two parts. Will have two parts. I think that's will have two parts. That's the session start and the session end functions. So the code that comes after the session start is accessible to the logged in users. So in this case, the logged in users are still the authenticated users. So let's see how to do it. I'll come over here and I'll create a file. I'll call this file dashboard.php. Okay. Then what I'll do is that I'll write PHP tag here, and I'll click and I'll write session start. Okay, the session start tag, and I'll close the PHP. And down here I'm gonna write the HTML. If you're wondering how that code appeared so fast, is that I used emmet, by which all I did was to type the exclamation, then the tab key, and that's it. So here I'll put a title, dashboard, like that, and then I'll put here a heading which says dashboard here, something like that. So, and I'll stop at that. Then in the login script here, in the login page here, we do not have to do much apart from we need to change something so that after the person logs in, they can be taken to this section here. Okay. So what that means is that if a person has to see the dashboard after they log in, we consider that as a private route. So if we put the private route, for example, on the index above login, and we say a href equals dashboard dot php and write dashboard here, then close the A, what is going to happen is that right now if I go to our app here, to our hub, I'll remove that here. If I click dashboard, I can see the dashboard, but then I may not want I want to make sure that if somebody clicks this link, if they are not logged in, I don't want them to see the dashboard. I want them to see something different. So let's see. Let's see. What happens is that when someone logs in here, where if someone logs in, like we found out that someone has logged in here, or we can even check the results and get to know the number of rows, because when someone logs in, do you know what we want? When someone logs in, we want to make sure that how can I say, we want to make sure that it's only one row, because we know that when you are logging in, you cannot have like your username existing in the database table for more than once. Database tables are supposed to have the username once, or it's supposed to be unique. All right, so for that case, we have to make sure that this condition here, we change it. Okay, and so for that reason, I'll comment it out and I'll put it here and say num rows equals to 1. It has to be 1, doesn't have to be more than 1. Okay, so if I may take you back to our table, I'll go to localhost, still to the port of MAMP, which is 8080. Then I'll look for /php my admin. Okay, enter, and our table is school MYS. I mean the database is school MYS, and in school MYS we created the members table. Now this members table, you can see that it has one username, okay, a unique username, and if you find yourself that it can allow to add non-unique usernames or duplicate usernames, what you will do is, for example, let's test it out by clicking insert. Okay, so if we click insert and around here I put dev.ug for example, and I'm gonna type in this as the password, then here I'll choose MD5, where yes, for the password to be encrypted. If I do this and the username is added, so you see we have two users with the same username, that's totally wrong. So what I may need to do, I'll delete this one who was created today, and now I can go back to the structure of the table and I'll change this username. Okay, I'll change the username, and when I change it, I will look for something. I think it's attributes. Huh? No, there's something which has to do with the unique, but okay, for some reason I can't see it, but let me see. Yeah, this is it. So probably I'll click the username here, then click unique. So outer table, add unique username. So I'll go back and try to add a user by clicking insert here. Then I'll type the same username. Of course, the passwords, you never know, people might have the same brain, so the passwords can be the same values, but I'm sure your hashing algorithm will change it so that they can be unique strings. Though for this session we are using MD5, there are many hashing algorithms. You see, now when I insert, it tells me inserting two members, this, and the value of the username is this, and it says duplicate entry for David of UG. So when you are creating your table, you have to cater for that. All right, that's good. So even if we go back here and on the sign up and we put David of UG, then we put the password. So we are pretending that we are signing up with a user whose username exists. So if we click, you see it brings an error that unquote MySQL exception, duplicate entry for the, so that means that's covered. So since it's covered, we know that we cannot have a common usernames. What we are going to do is to go here and make sure we check that the returned rows are only 1. If they are 1, then we can log in. But how can we log in? We can log in by redirecting to the page we want to go to, and this time we don't want to this while loop here is no longer valid, is no longer useful, so we can comment it out. We can comment it out, and then even these ones are unnecessary. We can comment them out. Yes, and around here we can do a header redirection. So in PHP, the header redirection, you write header function and you give it a string, and the string is gonna have the location key. It's gonna have the location and the path to the file you want PHP to redirect to, like that. Okay, but to make sure that that things are secure enough, you have to start a session here in the login script. You have to start a session. Why do you start a session? We shall see. Okay, and we start the session so that we can actually set some things to the session. Okay, because when we start the session, we get access to the session super global variable, and when the person logs in, like here, before you redirect, what you're gonna do is you're gonna access the session super global variable. Super global variables come with the PHP, so you don't create them, and the session is one of them. So for example, you can say username equals to the username that is coming from the forms or the database. So for example, we can copy this and paste, assign it here, like that. So if the login succeeds, we shall be able to go to the dashboard, and on the dashboard, because we've used this super global, in the dashboard, starting this session will give us access to that super global, and we can access the username. So this can be really helpful. let's see how it, if it works. So right here I'll click go back and I'll refresh, and I'll now type, okay, let me start by clicking the dashboard. If I click it, we go to it. So what I'll do, even before we do that, let's test the login. I'll test with the correct password and we see if we get redirected. Login to continue. Yeah, the redirection has worked. We've been redirected to the right page, but then, or the right route. But then what happens is that on here we are not sure if we are redirecting to the right route. So what we shall do, here we can put PHP and access the session super global, and we want to check the username if it is set. So we shall use the if is set function, okay, to see if it is set, and then we can display dashboard if that's the case. Let me move this to the up line and step above. Then here we can do PHP and if, like that. Oh, not end if, because up there, okay, let's use that syntax by me putting this here. So we are going to check that, and we can do else. What shall we do for else? We can write the else here, PHP else, and here we can say h1, sorry, you are not logged in, okay, and that's it. So let's go back to the browser and refresh this. So it's showing us it is able to show us the dashboard because we've properly logged in. And even if I went back, now if I went back to log in and click the dashboard, it will still show me the dashboard because the session is still existing. And this is where sometimes PHP can be a little bit insecure if you don't know what you are doing. So you have to provide something which has to do with you have to provide the logout and make sure that people log out, or you have to make sure that the first thing when people are on the login screen is to log out first. All right, so how can we log out? We can use the session destroy function. So I'll go to the logout where, okay, I'll have to create the file, and PHP logout. So here all I'll do is to write PHP session start, and then I think I can write session destroy and redirect, do the header location, then this one goes to the login page. Oh no, the index, okay, but permit me to add something here, action equals log out. Allow me, or yeah, let me add that parameter option, URL parameter, and then close PHP. So I don't put things to show on the login page. All I put is the algorithm for logging out. And if I've not forgotten, we do not have to reset the session username. If we wanted to reset it, we would do unset session, then we would put username here, but I don't think this is necessary, so I'm just gonna comment it out now so that we test out. Okay, so now I'll put the link here on the up the dashboard here. I'll put the href equals to logout.php and write the word someone will click logout and save. So I'll go back here and reload. So the logout link is here and I'll click it. Yeah, it has worked. So to know that it has worked, you can see that in the browser here we switch to index action equals logout, and that's the thing we have set here. That's what we've set here as the value to the header function. And now what happens is that if I go back to dashboard, you can see because we are not logged in, you see what is happening. They are saying sorry, you are not logged. Okay, it should have been you are not logged in. Sorry for my poor grammar. So that's it. And we can put on the dashboard here where it says sorry you are not logged in, we can correct that spelling, and then we can put a paragraph here and say ahref equals to login.php, and we can say click here to log in. Close the paragraph. So this means that when we click okay, if we click here, we shall be taken to the login. Oh, no, sorry, I took us to a wrong one. So this one should be index, because remember in the login all we have is the algorithm that carries out the login. So let me go back, and now if I click this, we are taken back to this. Okay, and if I click dashboard, we are taken back. So now I'll click David of UG, put the right password, login, and we are on the dashboard properly. So if I reload, we remain on the dashboard. If I click back, click dashboard, we still come back to the dashboard because the session is existing. Okay, what else can I talk about in this regard? So what this means is that you can have routes which people cannot see if they are not logged in. So for example, on which let me try to think of it. Yeah, so for example, on the dashboard here we might have links that around here on where we do not have any conditions. You see, we don't have any conditions like this, so we can have something like, let me do a nav, and here we can have something like a href equals to index.php. okay, and this one takes us to the home of the website. Then we can put a pipe here and put href equals to write.php, and no, let's just say read.php, and then we say read articles. Okay, can say something, then we can close the nav. So I'm going to use this to demonstrate how you can restrict links, access to links which are private. So we can come back and reload here. So you can see when you are logged in, you see home, read articles, and the logout. But if we log out and click dashboard, all we see is home and read articles. If we click home, we are taken to the home page. If we click dashboard, we are told, sorry, you are not logged in. We are asked to click here to log in. And if we click read articles, we see URL not found. Now, I want us to hide these read articles to the people who are not logged in. And what is going to happen is that it's that simple. All we can do is to check a session of the username again, and for that case, to make things simple, we can use this copy and put and start. We can take this here and say logged in equals to that. Just a moment. Logged in equals to true, else false. We can do something like that. So yeah, I'll put some underscore here to just make things look a little bit more PHP like, and I'll put some indentation there. So we are checking if the session for username is set, and we are saying this is true, otherwise false. So that means this will shorten our code here. We shall just check logged in here, and around here we shall also do the same thing. We shall say is can do, I think, can do PHP logged in. I think PHP has something called it should be like is it a coalition operator? I don't remember, but shall see. So if it doesn't work, we shall find an alternative. And here I'll do the equals. This is a shorthand for echoing things. So here I'm saying that if logged in is true, then echo this string. All right, so I'll go back to the browser. We are not logged in, remember, so I'll refresh. Yeah, it is gone. Now I'll click to log in. I'll put David of UG 1 2 3 4 5 6 and log in. Oh, it has, instead of displaying the string, it has displayed 1. So looks like the condition I wanted hasn't worked. So what I can do is this. They will echo this string if the logged in is true. Otherwise, we shall echo an empty string or even null. So let me go back, reload. Yeah, now it's displaying, it's being echoed. So I'll log out, then go to dashboard. You can see that the link for the restricted link is not this being displayed. If I click home, log in, and enter the username and password, you can see read articles. So it's being displayed now. If we put content in read articles, it should not show us not found. It will show us the contents of that. Even what happens is that even this log out can be done the same as read articles, but we've already covered that through, we've already covered the logout through this condition here, but it can also be added to the other, to this area. For example, we may have a logout, a navigation for the logged in and a navigation for the logged out users. So for that case, we can put here restricted, we can say private.nav.php, and what we are going to do is to take these, we are going to take this, I think I have to cut it, and then take it to this file over here. Then we shall also take the logout to private nav, okay, to private nav here. All right, so what is gonna happen now is that yeah, I think I'll put something like a pipe here, since we are not using any CSS. But if we were using CSS, we would just do this better. So now what we are going to do is simple. We are going to say if logged in, so we shall remove this from here completely, and we shall also remove this nav from here and bring it over here, this nav, okay, we shall bring it over there, and I have to introduce these navs to here, the nav tags, to this file, now to have something more semantic. Okay, so this is some sort of code organization. Then what I'll do, I know that when someone is not logged in, they are going to see this, but when they are logged in, we are going to require once require once the private.nav.php. We are going to do this, and oh, just a moment, I have to put this in PHP tags. We are going to have to put this in PHP tags, and save. All right, then I'll come over, I'll go back here, and you see that now we are not seeing home when someone is logged in. We are seeing read articles and logout. If I click logout, we are seeing dashboard. Okay, so but let me try to go to the dashboard by clicking it. So if I go to the dashboard, we see home, but we don't see logout, and we don't see the read articles link. So what we've covered is to restrict some content based on logged authenticated users and non-authenticated users. Okay, so this can be taken further to authorize people. For example, if you want admins to see different things and other users to see different things, okay, so that this can happen. give me a moment. I think we can cover that, the authorization, in the next episode. Okay, or I would even encourage you to do it as homework, and you try it. If you are going to do it as homework, what I'll encourage you to do is that, okay, the tip I can give you is that you have to first create something here on the table, on this table, and what you have to create is another field. So I'll go to structure, and then we can add a field. Yeah, we can add a field. You see here there's add one after what? After password. Yeah, so we are going to add that. I'll click ignore all. I don't know why that keeps coming. Then we can have something called a key called rows, and it can accept a varchar or an array. A char would work, and okay, it can be as this, or how do we call them? There are those things which are called JSON. Yes, or JSON. Can make it accept JSON strings and save. Then you would have to make sure that then let me see. Yeah, then you would have to make sure that you do whatever when a user is registering, you attach their roles. Like you can say this can be an admin and also a publisher, or this can be this. Then when someone logs in here, where is the login script? When someone logs in here, you can set their username, and you can set other things like the roles. And then in other pages you can go on checking whether these roles are existing in the session or not. If they are existing, you allow to display the content. If they are not existing, you don't display the content. So I would like to call it the end of this session for today. Wait, before we conclude the session, let me just explain why I put this one here. I put this one here so that we can display the message to the user that they have logged in. So I'll have to go to the index here and say probably around, let me just put it below the dashboard. I would have, because this is where is logout? Because this is attached as a URL parameter, that means we can access it from the HTTP verbs, and then by using the HTTP super globals, and then I'll do PHP. Then I would say if session, if a super global variable from get, which is action, is set. I can also check its value, but I will leave that aside. Echo, you have logged out. So yeah, that's the reason I added that. So what happens now is that if a user logs out, let's log in. If a user logs out, they have to see that message. So log in, and if you click log out, you are going to see you've logged out. This can be important to show the people that they have logged out or not yet logged in. So that's it. Let's call this the end of the session today. We shall continue on it later, like on Tuesday or Saturday. But on Saturday we are going to look more on commands and then the other Saturday we may look at something different. Then we shall resume PHP after those 2 sessions. So see you. Thanks for tuning in.